Hi, I'm David Kerr, and welcome back to Rappahannock Issues. We were just having a conversation during the break, which our producer and Tom both reminded me that we are the mainstream media. And I had just been dissing the mainstream media, talking about how lazy they were. So I would say we are the mainstream media, but we are the exception because we delve into the issues and we ask the questions they don't necessarily want to answer. So with that in mind, I was thinking we might talk a little bit about Virginia.
Okay.
You had some. You were talking a moment ago about how the state breaks north and south, and much more urban area, working class. Do you think it's going to be enough to defeat the trend that's occurred over the past few years of Democrats winning?
Well, and I think what's interesting, if you look at the state of Virginia and you sort of look at the races where the Democrats did well, they would have Northern Virginia. They do very well in the cities, Richmond, et cetera. And then they try to suppress the Republican turnout in the suburban areas, Stafford, Spotsy, Culpeper, going down to Henrico, Hanover, Chesterfield. And then they would do very well in coal country. What helped Obama was that he also did very well with the military that throughout the state. As we saw in the last gubernatorial election, as we saw in the last senatorial election, the last two statewide elections, coal country has been shifting away from the Democrats. And so it'll be interesting to see. To me, the big element is that you would sit there and see how low is the turnout of Republicans in suburbia, and is that offset by a larger turnout in coal country for Trump. One of the things that was in the paper today is Trump has poured another $2 million into Virginia. And the article about that was, they don't understand because it's supposedly it's a done deal. And I'm really questioning whether this, again, is where they're just looking at the conventional wisdom and not looking at the boots on the ground, the people on the ground that are saying different things.
Well, actually, as you would know, I'm not a Trump fan. But that said, I know that he rarely makes investments of that scale without some reason. So if he's putting money into a state that everybody else has written off, it's probably for a reason. One thing I think it's worth considering in Virginia in particular is turnout, because the Democrats in Northern Virginia, which is a very compact area, and they have a very well-organized party apparatus in Northern Virginia, and it's very motivated this year, are good at turning out the vote, even in off years. You know a bit more about the Republicans. Do you think that they have an organization and an ability to get votes out in their strong points?
Well, and I think that, and this is where, in our area, there has not been as much of a door-to-door effort, and the Republicans basically nationwide have not had a very good door-to-door effort. But where they have sort of offset that is the enthusiasm. That there are new people who have registered to vote, all different ages, that were just eager to register, eager to vote, that are going to come out and vote. The Trump voter, even with all the talk of the campaign's over, this, that, and they are eager to make their message known. So I think that they will make up for any lack of manpower. And you were pointing out that in the last couple statewide elections, even though the Democrats came out in their very good organization in Northern Virginia, you still had Warner almost lost because even in an anemic year where the Republicans weren't putting a lot of effort into help Gillespie almost won. I think you said it was 15,000 vote difference.
That's right.
Which is not a lot of people. If you just take Stafford, has about 250,000 people. That's not a lot of people to differ. And one of the things that I'm not quite sure is if you talk to people, if Trump gets more people who are registered and or voting that are not anticipated or normally don't vote, or even gets the turnout from 2008's election, not the 2012 election, that would shift many states. I mean, and so it'll be interesting to see what will happen that way.
One thing that people are also watching, in addition to the presidential race, is the Senate, and to a lesser degree the House. I don't think there's much chance for the House to shift parties. But Senate, there's some key states in play. In particular, there's Nevada, there's North Carolina, but not as strong. Do you think there's in Illinois too, with Senator Kerr, do you think there's enough get them to 50-50?
Most of the Real Clear Politics average says it's 50-50 right now. And it's sort of interesting. Kelly Ayotte, in a poll today in New Hampshire, is back up by a point or two after sort of stumbling in the debate about whether or not, about Donald Trump. The candidate, Heck, the Republican in Nevada, has been dropping in the polls in part because he has distanced himself from Trump. So the poll today in Nevada had Trump up by 3 points. At the same time, has Heck losing ground because the party, the people, the grassroots people in Nevada are very upset that he's not backing the Republican candidate. So it's an interesting dynamic that way. I don't know. What do you think if the Democrats win the Senate?
Well, there was an article I was reading, I think it was in The Economist, about the prospects if they win the Senate, or say they get 50-50, and if the vice president, they have control, it may not last all that long, because in 2018, I think there are 25 out of the 33 senators who run for re-election every 2 years. There are 25 Democrats that are up and 8 Republicans, which means the Democrats are defending an extraordinarily large number of seats. And it's just statistically not possible, unless there's just incredible popularity for the incumbent Democratic president, let's say, or antipathy to the Republican president, to pull that many seats in with you.
Right, and then some of those states that are up are in Missouri, Virginia, states that are either
West Virginia.
Very
hard for states for Democrat now.
So there's states that either are trending red or that are swing states, so they'll be very difficult. But we really don't think people want to be talking about 2018 after this long national nightmare of an election in 2016. You mentioned about the House. It's sort of interesting because at one point there was all this brouhaha that the House was in play, and then you have experts look at it and say because of the way the districts are made, it's not in play. So we have about a minute left. You sort of say that the House is not in play.
Well, the reason I think it's not in play is that this does, at least out of conventional wisdom, look like a good year for Democrats. But they didn't know that back when they were selecting candidates. In fact, most people did not expect a Donald Trump candidacy. They expected Rubio or Bush, which have been very strong candidates. And so the really strong, powerful Democrats who could have won, those who could have raised money and organized, didn't. So it's sort of the second string that's running right now. So they don't really have good challengers, even though the climate's turned in their favor. They're just not in a really strong position to take seats there. I think it kind of run down from the beginning.
Right. I mean, it's sort of, in the House, it's sort of hard to change. And what isn't hard for you to do is to come back after the break and see us talk about sort of looking at the last 2 weeks of where we're going. So come on back.
Don't change that channel.